Namaste. This is Michelle Lee Skaletski-Boyd, and I'm here because I know many of you are empaths and you're feeling the effects of what's going on right now around the world. And before we move into the meditation, I want to talk and address your left brain. For those of you who are watching this and you haven't ever worked with me, I am a clinically certified hypnotherapist. I've been in business since 2006. I've worked with clients all around the globe, and I am also a best-selling author. I'm in a really beautiful location here in Montana amongst the mountains, and it's just absolutely so beautiful in so many ways. And as I'm surrounded by this beauty, I'm seeing and sensing and noticing there's so much fear. So being someone who loves to assist people through their fears and helps them return home to themselves, I really felt like today would be a good opportunity to move people into a guided meditation to help them remain calm. And so this meditation is going to help uplift you. The intention is to bring healing and guidance. It's to help return you home so that you can trust your intuitions, you can trust the source within you. And I wanted to begin by just talking a little bit about some things that I've noticed myself, and as always, go with your truth. So Bob Marley had said, and for those of you who know Bob Marley songs, some of you are aware of his roots and ties to Jamaica. He had said, "You never know how strong you are until being strong is the only choice you have." And for some of you right now, that's what it feels like. And this is not to cause panic. This is just to ask you to be aware of where your thoughts and your feelings are. Now, there's one thing to be safe and to be smart and to recognize boundaries, but there's another thing to be in your place, your haven, your beautiful environment that you call home, be it closing your eyes and going within, or being in the surroundings that you are, whether it's on the job, helping and assisting people because you're called to be a light worker, or whether it's in your home and feeling like you're not safe because you're buying in to everything that's happening outside of you. So I want to address something that Abraham Hicks once said when someone asked the question of some of these worldwide crises that are going on. And Abraham Hicks has reminded us many times in many different ways that death is simply re-emerging into the fullness of who we are. So when we suffer from catastrophes, we use the incident, the natural disaster, the fear, can move into death in some cases and return to that which we already are. And some people, they don't choose the door of death. They choose the door of recovery, or they choose the door of connection, or they choose the door of awakening and seeing the world differently to remember again who they are. So I want to just help you go within and really recognize what's going on inside yourself, and recognize the difference between the illusion of what's happening versus what is truth for you. So I want you to imagine for a moment that as a collective, we're being asked to go within so we can use this time to clear out anything that's causing us to feel a little weak. Be it an old memory, a trigger, a trauma, a worry, a fear, so that we can arrive on land in a healthier state, in a condition that gives us the knowingness of God, Source's love and oneness again. I want to talk for a minute about science. So science, as you all know, is one of my favorite subjects. And I love to mix science with this healing energy because science speaks to the left brain. And science shows tangible evidence that our left brain, who, by the way, often gives us fear, that left brain can help us see and know and understand something. And if it feels tangible, then we can at least recognize it as truth. Well, that's kind of silly if you really think about it, because science also tells us that matter is 99.999999999, and somewhere in there might be a 6 at the end, percent empty space. And that there are vortices of energy inside every atom, with each one radiating its own signature of intention. So just think about that for just a moment. It means that we're all beings of energy. We're all beings of vibration. We're all radiating with our own unique energy signature. So much so that if you looked at anything that appears to be physical, close enough and long enough through an atomic microscope, you would see that each unique vortex, each of those little vortices, makes up quarks, makes up photons. And you would see that some are swirling and some are straight maybe. Each again have unique signatures. Until you zoomed in so close that you reach the invisible energy, that total nothingness, that void, that pure potentiality. So the meditation that I'm about to guide you in is going to invite you to teleport yourself into this beautiful world of God Source's purest form of love and light. Into this beautiful world where we can teleport ourselves there through thought and through feeling, so that we then merge with trust and knowingness. The intention is to help you stay calm, to help you stay centered, and to help you stay very clear on the fact that your boundary is love, it's light, it's healing, it's trust, it's faith, and it's knowingness. That we're all here for good reason, and we're all okay. The intention is to connect and to communicate and to collaborate with each of ourselves so that we return to our wholeness and our fullness once again. So I'd like for you each to do what you can from where you are. Some of you are in your car right now. Some of you have kids in the background because your kids are home, right? Some of you are at work. Wherever you are, I would like for you to recognize that you're safe at the moment and that you are gifted in the fact that we can connect in this way. I would also ask that if you are in a place where you're the driver, you're currently driving or operating any type of heavy machinery, you're in the midst of helping people, that you not listen to this, because I'm going to take you pretty deep should you say yes to it. And I want to make sure that as I do that, that you're in a place where you can move into the energies of calmness and quietness without having to worry about anyone or anything around you. This is a time for you to go within as best as you can. So take a moment, if you will, and just type out what it is that you've done to help yourself feel good. Maybe you left a note for one of your friends who is your roommate, or you left them a little note in their lunchbox. And maybe I'm just giving you ideas to the possibility that there are good things to do in this world. One of the things that we're doing is we're taking sidewalk chalk and we're writing inspirational messages so that when people drive by in their cars, they can see these beautiful messages. And yesterday we had so much fun. My kiddo and my husband and I, we went outside and each of us drew our little pictures and gave our little affirmations. And for me, I wrote, be well. And my kiddo wrote, have fun. And my husband wrote, slow down. So what would your affirmation be if you could write an affirmation to the world? I want you to begin to start to think about this as I slowly guide you into a meditation. I'd like for you to imagine for a moment that wherever it is you are, that you and your fears disconnect for just a moment. So just imagine there's a ship and you're on the shore, and in that ship is all your worries, all your doubts, all your fears, all your past proofs, all of the things that are causing you to lose sleep. Be aware that they're there. Some are big, some are small. They might be worries of being alone. They might be concerns of being afraid that no one will be with you in the end. They might be knowing that your loved ones are at risk, or you have a fear that they might die. You might have regrets or guilt or shame. Whatever it is, I'd like for you just to notice. Just take a moment. Recognize that it's separate from you. Maybe you have a fear that your loved ones won't be with you, or of not being able to afford your bills, losing your home. Maybe you were recently kicked out of your place, or maybe you're afraid that you're going to get hurt, or your family is going to be hurt. Or now you're questioning your former beliefs. You're questioning your trust. It could be this, it could be something else. Whatever it is, I'd like for you to take a moment and give yourself permission to separate for it long enough that you can place it in a ship, knowing that you yourself are on shore, knowing and trusting that you can sense that just like a storm is looming, you can feel the waters below that ship moving, and you have this feeling that maybe it's going to come on shore. But then you remember that you and it are separate. It's much like when you go to an aquarium and you can get right up to the shark, and you know that there's a separation between you and it, and that you're totally safe. It's like that. So give yourself permission to breathe. As you recognize the looming fears on that ship, your worries and your concerns, and you also recognize that from where you are safe. I want you to take a moment and recognize that wherever you are, you get to create it. In other words, this is your meditation. All hypnosis is self-hypnosis. You're only going to go as far as you trust yourself to go. In order to move into the world of creation and meditation, in order to move into love and oneness, we move through the subconscious mind. And in order to do that, we trust our maker. We trust ourself, our higher self, to guide us into these energies. So notice what it feels like when you use that beautiful gift of creativity and imagination. As you imagine that ship, what does it look like? How big is it? How far are you away from it? Perhaps you're on the land's end of a very long deck with the ship at a distance very far away. Or maybe you're up on a hill, or you're in a tree, or you're in a high building and you're simply looking down safely at everything that's below. Wherever you are, I'd like for you to begin to close your eyes if you haven't yet done so. I'm going to turn off one of these lights, and I'm going to simply allow you to move within. And if it feels good to keep looking at me, so be it. I would suggest that you look at the candle behind me instead of just me. Continue to look and work on your breath. And notice where you are. Notice your ship. Maybe you're floating freely in the sky, much like a bird or a kite. Or you're using your imagination in such a way that you're seated on the sun. Or maybe you're lying back on the healing colors of a chakra rainbow. Go with whatever works for you. Wherever you are, be aware of your breath. Start taking some nice deep breaths, the biggest breaths that you've taken on this day. And as you're aware of your breath, be aware of your body and begin to tune in a place where calmness resides. So notice where in your body you feel calmness. Maybe it's in a little finger, or maybe it's at the tip of your nose or in your chin. Wherever it is, give yourself permission to breathe from there. To dwell there, to be one with the stillness for a bit. In and out, breathe deeply, breathe calmly, breathe completely. And remember that right now, you're in the energies of safety. You are one with inner trust. And you can notice how easy to see that ship that contains fears cannot access where you are. In other words, you're completely safe. Your boundaries are firm. Your shore is pristine. You are one with God Source's healing love and light. Now in just a moment, you're going to hear me count to 10. As I reach 10, allow yourself to become one with the center of the land that you're on. Remember, this is your dream, your imagination, your creativity. Allow your higher self to lead. The center is where wholeness and health emerge, much like a spring bubbling up from the earth that's in its purest form. And 1, 2, and 3, moving closer now. 4, 5, and 6, sensing the energies. 7, 8, 9, and 10, one with the center now. And in this center, I'd like for you to begin to move through the layers of awareness, allowing your higher self to lead. For some, it might feel like light. Just simply give yourself permission to notice that this is where your highest thoughts, your purest feelings reside. Notice how you can hear the heartbeat of the earth here. How everything is crisp and clean. How you can tune in to nature's song and you can feel the joy, the exuberance of it all. Be aware of how you can hear the melodic prayers chiming from around the globe. All those prayers that are of the highest intentions, that are of the purest truth. And then I'd like for you to move a little deeper through the place of creation into this place where living beings are all formed. Where babies are birthed, where seedlings grow. And then through the layers of non-attachment, this is where we fully let go. This is the place of surrender and oneness. And as I slowly count backwards from 5 to 1, give yourself permission to be free, one with these loving energies, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, moving now through 0, the center of 0, through creation's center point, through the layers, into love's pure potentiality, one with your original source, one with your maker, one with the pure energies of peace and love. Every cell, every fiber, your breath, all merging with these energies, aware of your oneness with Source. Noticing your oneness with love. And noticing as you begin to move through the layers once again, how you're given the gift of free will. And how you move through the layers of potentiality with this free will. And how in this place of potentiality, there is love and light and brightness and clarity everywhere in all directions. And how you observe for a moment how there are others with you, with their free will as well. And some are using their free will to allow curiosity to form. They're asking the question, who am I? They're asking the question, is there more than this? And as they ask this question, a little dot forms and takes shape. You're staying in your place of clarity, of pureness, of love and in light, simply noticing how some begin to play with this little shape. It appears at first like a little shadow, translucent in color, and then it begins to darken. Some are swallowing it. Some are blending with it. Some are allowing it to grow bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until they're surrounded by only darkness, or so it seems. Some would call this suffering. And you're noticing how those around you are moving through timelines and experiences, moving with this suffering in different ways, toying with it, playing with it, experimenting with it, until you see this potentiality where there seems to be only darkness, but you notice there's a flicker of light. And now that being notices it too. And their curiosity once again allows them to want to begin to play with that little speck, that little light. And so they swallow it and they play with it. And it grows bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until they become one with the light once again, and they giggle and they laugh. And all those around you have done the same, where they're now one with the light and the purity right with you. And as you're all back in those pure energies once again, you're aware of your birth and your creation, this time aware of your immaculate form, this time fully present with the gift of your free will, with total feelings of love and healing and inner peace. And as I count to 10, you emerge back onto your land through your center, with the fullness of this love in every way. And 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, appreciating the beauty and the joy. Taking a moment, feeling sound in mind and body, whole in pure and thought. As you now move a little closer to shore. Notice that ship once again. Be aware of the illusions, the fears, those little specks that we call suffering. Notice that there are others out there too, some in more darkness. And I want you to notice the ones that are in this place where it feels like suffering is expanded and is great, and how they're using the bridge of this suffering to move into death, and using the death as a bridge to return to the light once again. And how others are finding hope by noticing that spark of light, because they can see you on the shore. And notice how when you hold your light, you can be like a beacon for them too. Notice how you and others who are those healers and those miracle workers of the earth have heard their prayers, and you're helping them raise their frequency, and you're reminding them that there are, in this current time, over 7.5 billion people on the earth, and how love is all around us. There are so many billion beacons of light, of healing, of joy, of miracles, of wealth, of health. And you're helping them see that little light, and it gets bigger and it expands. And some join you on the shore. And so you extend yourself and your love and your trust and your knowingness. And you give yourself permission to return home fully and completely in your body and in your wellness and in your health and in your beingness. And you focus all your thoughts and all your feelings and all your emotions and all your attention on this beautiful world we call life. And when you open your eyes, it's so easy now to see how you can bring joy to others, joy to yourself. And you begin to notice it begins with faith and hope and trust and remembering our Maker, remembering where we came from, remembering it all, and allowing that 99.9999999%, that emptiness, that nothingness, that void, that pure love, that pure potentiality to fill your being once again. Noticing your breath. As I slowly count backwards from 10 to 1, returning to the room that you're in, returning to your safe haven, remembering once again that you are God Source's love in purest form, having a human experience, and 10, 9, and 8, slowly beginning to rotate your beautiful wrists and ankles. 7, 6, and 5, repeating to yourself, I am healthy, I am strong, I am well. 4, 3, 2, and 1. When you're ready, eyes awake and feeling great. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. I love you all. Keep shining brightly. And listen to this as many times as you need. And please continue to spread love and light and notice your perceptions. Have a beautiful day, everyone.